So hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Some reactions in the chat would be really cool. I'll welcome you to the first series of our webinars hosted by Trending Topics. Normally, we would have invited you to a cozy place, something like Launchy, for instance, and made the discussion there live with you, maybe with a beer in the hand, and exchanged a bit more of what is happening in the startup ecosystem, in the tech ecosystem. But that was before the lockdown, and now everything has changed. And just like you, we've been challenged to adapt to the new situation and go virtual, to a new virtual reality. So I welcome you here. At this place, I would like to thank to our partner Launchy, who enabled us to use the platform Hopin, and they provided us with the early access. It's really exciting to use it as one of the first people on this planet. It's new, so if something is not working, please be tolerant. I hope you will not be too critical with us. At a safe distance in their home offices, here I have some really great communication experts, professionals, Hristo Hristov, Georgi Malchev, and Bernhard Holzer. Hello to you too. I hope you can also hear me well.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to see you.
I don't see Bernhard, but maybe
think
he jumped through the window or something.
I think he will be joining us in a second. Oh no, now my mother is calling. Okay. So you're bringing not only years of experience as communication experts, as PR experts, as marketing experts, but you're also mentors for many startups. And you're also yourself entrepreneurs. So you know how challenging the times could be when you're responsible for a business, for a team, for people who you pay salaries to. So together with you, I hope that tonight we can provide some guidance, some practical insights, and also some inspiration to the audience in our platform. And maybe think of how we can adjust our marketing strategies and communication strategies. You remember back then in November, we've been sitting on them, planning them, budgeting them, and now everything has changed, and we can maybe, some of them, we can throw them out. They will be not usable anymore in the next month. Looking from it today, it's probably impossible to predict what would be the economic impact of the health crisis that we're experiencing right now. Experts say that it all depends on finding therapy and vaccines, and this is going to take time. But maybe even today we can observe the way that this crisis is affecting consumers' behavior, and this will inevitably also affect the way we do marketing, or the way we did it so far. So can we identify new opportunities? Can we maybe prepare already now for them? And how are we going to grow in the future? My name is Irina Obushtarova. I'm the Managing Director of Trending Topics, and I will be moderating the conversation tonight. And before I start, I would like to walk everyone through the schedule today and also some organizational aspects. So first, we're gonna have the discussion. Then we will open to your questions in a Q&A session. You will be muted during the discussion, and you can ask your questions in the chat. My colleagues will collect them, and I will ask them to the panel. After that, you would have the option to start your own roundtable. In the section sessions, you can initiate a conversation on a topic of your choice. Maybe you have some experience to share, know-how to share. We want to promote that and help you with that. And maybe also something else. At any point, you can also participate in the polls. They are on the right side of your screen. These polls will help us get to know you better, get an idea of who you are, and adjust the discussion maybe to make it a bit more relevant to what you would like to know. So I would suggest that we start with the first question. And my first question would actually go to Georgi. You're the managing partner of Explorer.bg. I can. Can you hear me? Great. I'm sorry.
We could hear him, but now we can't.
Now we can't. Now he left. Okay. Well, then maybe move to the next question.
Okay, then pick one of us.
Yeah.
But be careful who you pick, because we might leave as well.
Yeah,
if it's an intimidating question.
Well, I warned you that I have some difficult questions, but I didn't expect that you're going to leave me just when I'm asking them. Anyways, so Elite is saying that it's freezing. Okay. This is not so cool.
Okay, I'm not freezing. It's fine.
For me, it's fine as well. Anyways, so actually, my second question was meant for you, Hristo. So maybe you can jump in for Georgi, who is hopefully joining us in short.
Let's go.
Yeah. So you're the founder of two online news platforms, and also a platform for content marketing, which is called WhitePress. So you have a very good overview about communication channels and how content how relevant is content in the current situation. At the same time, all these three platforms are pretty much dependent on advertising and marketing budgets. As a fellow media professional, we have observed an unprecedented peak in the traffic. So everyone is online, they're consuming a lot of digital content. At the same time, we're observing also something that we haven't seen in probably years, if not decades, that all of a sudden, everyone is hungry for content on one specific topic, which is globally relevant. So from this background, I would like to know what conclusions can be made about content marketing channels and how people are actually consuming content at this point.
Thank you for the question. Well, it's like you said, there is a huge spike in traffic in not all digital news or asset categories. So, for example, classifieds, they don't see this spike. Obviously, now is not the best time to sell your car or to buy a home online. But digital news properties are seeing a spike in traffic, which unfortunately is not coupled with a spike in revenue. So the digital media outlets that have a different business model, which is somewhat transaction driven, be it subscription or pay-per-view or merchandising or like digital events like the one that you make, they have hi George.
Hi there.
I was the first to come and the last to join.
Yeah. It was a very tough question, so it's good that you left.
My answer it depends.
So it's so that's that. This for the brands, what this means, it's a very difficult play to make right now, because the majority of the traffic goes to corona and disease-related topics, and this is not the per se the surrounding that you want to put your brand into. So actually, what we see is that there is demand right now for advertising and content marketing to be placed outside of Corona and disease and death toll related news, because it's highly grieving and, let's say, negative content. You know, and sharing all these statistics every day, how many people died, how many were infected, what's going on about the recession. So there is this trend going on of brands trying to bypass the bad news. In terms of content, I like the way you put it, because for a very first time, and we see that usually during Olympics, during World Cup, during Eurovision, during during major events. But for a very first time, it's truly global that you see content circulating around one topic. And it's completely opposite to the fact that content is local. And it's a very, very, very good opportunity for global media houses to spread their footprint in places that they've never reached. But like I said, it doesn't always come as an opportunity for the brands as well, because they might be they might want to stay away from such type of content. So it's completely decoupled between news consumption and brand advertising.
Yeah, is it actually possible to bypass this topic? I mean, from what we see at trending topics is that we have much more traffic, but there are also people who would usually know what we're publishing. They don't see our content anymore. It's somehow that the algorithms are probably pushing more corona-related news, and everything else stays somehow in the background. Do you see that too as well?
No, it's the people, they are interested in that type of content. So naturally it gets bigger distribution. So it's so that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Georgi?
Yeah.
Is everything working with you?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to my first question, the opening one. And I wanted to start with, so you're managing partner of Explora, which is one of the leading digital marketing agencies. You have a huge portfolio of services. And I guess you service also customers from very different sectors. When you look back over the past couple of weeks, what were the major concerns of your of the customers, and how did you manage to address them? What did you advise them to do?
Yeah, well, I guess that everybody faced that one, and yes, I have even a presentation to have some takeaways for people. I will be more than glad to present this. Otherwise, what happened is, of course, everything stopped for for a day or for a week, depending on the type of client. So we have B2B, B2B2C clients, B2C clients, FMCG, and so on. And they reacted differently. Some of the larger FMCG clients, we needed to readjust everything. Nevertheless, we were supposed, and we started presenting relevant content. Even today we had and yesterday photo shooting for Ariana and for Zagorka, because these are still the very same people. They have just different occasions. We had some clients that were hardly affected by the close down of shops, and for them it was, we are stopping, we are reopening, and so on. Now we are in a huge seasonal campaign for Primex, their tire repair and tire maintenance and tire sales company. And while they had stopped everything, now we have like 4, 5, 6 active campaigns because it's the season. So going to the point, initially everything stopped, and then it started slowly unleashing and more and more. What is impressive is that actually we have just a couple of clients who totally stopped everything. They are, let's say, in construction, which is specific enough. We have a couple of international clients whose headquarters are in France or in Italy or in Germany, and they said stop everything for their companies. Nevertheless, because we have huge background with these companies, and we are very test-driven, signal-driven, audience-driven, and so on. As an agency, you see in a couple of minutes our model. It allowed us to provide new insights to general managers of these companies, to other, to top marketing management, and they were able to either to stabilize the marketing budget or even to make an exception for Bulgaria as compared to other countries. Because as you see in what I will present to you, actually it's country by country, region by region, and so on. So actually, for most of our clients, unless the most affected ones, we have managed to adapt the model to either to start specific types of communication or specific type of digital content that is relevant to people. And as you know, in my presentation, I have 3 types of audiences. I have 4 types of stages that, let's say, Nike went through the crisis. And we are following this with our clients, and it helps a lot.
Okay. I would like to get Bernhard in the conversation as well, and maybe go back to you, because I'm really curious on the presentation, and maybe the insights that we can draw from it. Bernhard, hi. Do you hear me well?
Hey. I'm doing pretty well. In fact, it's the busiest time of the year so far. For me personally.
Thank you for joining us from Vienna. Maybe you can share with us some impressions that you have, like, you know, on the other side of the border, in Austria and in Germany. You're pretty much involved also in the startup ecosystem there. How are they handling it, and do they manage to adapt to the new situation? I mean, we know that startups are usually very, by design, are more versed to digital marketing than maybe old economic companies, but still, maybe you can share some impressions.
Yeah. I mean, I work these days a lot with companies from Germany and Austria right now. Do you also hear me like 2 times or double or not?
I hear 3.
Yeah, I hear myself like 4 times. Okay.
But it's okay, like that the information really sinks.
Okay, so I tried to keep it simple. Last week, I did a launch for Clark. It's the biggest insurtech from Germany, and they launched in Austria. That worked out pretty well, in fact. Is it like, do you hear me somehow, or is it like makes you crazy?
It's perfect. It's like being in a cave and you are in the nature.
Yeah, it's like an echo.
It's amazing.
It's like we should do yodeling, but
let's see if we mute ourselves, if it would be a bit better.
Okay. I can talk 5 minutes on my own, that's fine.
Do you want me to mute as well?
Okay. Seems better. Okay. So, or not. I would say it's half-half. Agencies and services working for startups, they 50% suffer a lot and 50% do normal business. So I didn't find somehow a trend. Regarding startups itself, they are all somehow in crisis mode, and it simply depends on their business. It's like either they can adapt or use the crisis, if they are like in, I don't know, like hardware products, then it's pretty difficult this time. So I think it's really depending where the focus of your business is right now. And because Hristo, he said something before, like all the news are somehow attached to, wow, that makes me crazy. The echo. All the news are attached to, okay, sorry. It's like, I hear me 3 times now. So all the news are much into Corona. I think that's a big chance for startups because you just have to find a twist how your topic can be related, and it's more easier to get into the media. So for example, today I pitched for Klarna. They made a survey how online shopping changed during the crisis. And it's a neutral, almost positive topic, and media really likes it so far. So okay. I think you just have to find a twist, and then it's working out. All news not connected to Corona, I would keep for 1-2 months and not put them to the media because they just go down. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, thank you. I mean, it's really pity that we are experiencing some echo with you. Because I know that you have a lot of practical twists to share of how to do communication, especially on a tight budget, because you've been working with startups for, I don't know, for a decade now. No, maybe not. That's a bit too long. Maybe more. In any case, maybe I would like to go back to Georgi because I'm really excited about the presentation that he prepared. To be honest, I haven't seen it, but I'm totally... I'm totally sure that it will be valuable because you're also educating young marketeers at the university, right, Georgi? Can you try to share the screen with us?
I'll do my best. If it doesn't start, you do have a copy of the presentation. Did it start? Anything?
Let's see.
Maybe you are the one to bring me. I can manage with you sharing. I can manage with you sharing the presentation. As far as I see you.
Okay, well then let me open it.
Okay. It didn't start. It's my feeling. Okay.
Just a second. I need to open my email so that.
Okay, it starts. That's great.
Okay. So you're sharing now. Great.
No, you're the one.
That's me. That's my window. Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Okay.
So you sent me.
What I'll be
just a
presenting
second.
is.
So you send it to me over the email, right? Maybe
yes,
you can.
What email from me?
No.
I'm sending once again.
Okay, so it's here.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay. I was expecting that you can share your own screen.
I don't know why it started. Okay, just for the others to tease you, this is something that I got going through over 50 marketing articles that are from marketing professionals all over the world. It's from a paid marketing database. And this is something that we're going through with some of our clients. So two models from that one, and a couple of things that we're currently doing with our clients. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very applicable.
I guess since we are streaming, it takes forever to download. Maybe I can work on it in between, and maybe we can go over. Yeah.
Okay, I can start by mentioning what I will cover, and I'll try to, you know what I do? I'll actually put a link in the chat. Is it okay that way?
That would be even greater, yeah, I think.
Okay, just a second, please.
I think that would be better. Sorry for this, guys.
Okay, it's my fault. I decided something at the last moment, and but I'm pretty you will find it for. Okay, just for me to upload it.
This is the live event.
Yeah, always the risks. I mean, I would like to have a startup who is somehow preparing you for this kind of situations. I mean, it's always the same.
Okay, and I just need to upload it so that I can share it. Just a second.
The problem is that the connection is also very slow because we're streaming, or at least my laptop is not managing this. This is the downside of a small laptop with a very little power. Anyways.
I actually had to upgrade my my internet connection at home after this crisis, because you have all the bandwidth being consumed by everybody.
It was actually one of the things I did at the moment the lockdown was announced. I increased to the max the broadband at home.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
okay, there you are.
Okay. Oh wow, cool.
Okay, so Ben, you didn't miss anything, so we were starting. Okay, so what I'll do
I think I'm gonna manage to open it here. So now I can share the screen also.
Okay, so I have picked a couple of things that would be extremely useful for you. Yes. Okay, so definitely it's complicated, and what you should know is that now it's your show time, and I have put a quote for you, what show time is and why it's relevant. Actually, show time is the beginning of an event and a process that is expected to be dramatic, yes, decisive, yes, or otherwise significant, so you can be sure to have great show time. Okay, so going to the content, I have relevant experience both in operations management and as you mentioned, startups, marketing, and so on. So what I will share is something that combines both strategic and operational and tactical aspects. Okay, you can go further.
Impressive portfolio. Okay.
Okay, this is just to give you the feeling about the type of clients. This is our team. So we're doing integrated digital marketing services, which allows us actually to give integrated approach and not to be dependent on a specific channel, media, and so on. Okay, you can go further. Okay, so you can see a lot of areas, and it allows us to shift from one type of service to the other. So if you go just if you
Well, yeah, maybe I would like to jump straight to the insights.
if you go to above,
Okay, cool.
one more. Okay, so it's from an amazing article that says actually that currently there are 3 types of quassis, and they apologize for using quassis currently for people depending on the type of crisis, and I'm pretty sure you see it by yourself. So there are some people that actually are just experiencing a change in their lifestyle. My feeling is that Ben and Hristo are out of that time, and actually these people are more prone to share some photos, quarantine, and so on. And you should be aware that it has been seen all over the world. So if you manage to have clients that are actually affected in that way, that have more time, that find it actually inspiring to be able to learn something new and so on, you can reframe your brand in a very, very useful way. So for these people, it's the challenges of lifestyle and perspective that are what you can add. Okay, if you go to the next one, these are the middle class, or the middle in terms of being affected by the crisis. So they are stressed enough, so they need to make the numbers, be it for the company, be it for the potential to lose part of their income and so on. For them, security is a serious challenge, and serious life changes are to come. And these people realize that one, and you should, as I'll show you later on, use an approach to reframe your value proposition for these people, if you are targeting these people. We are doing it for a number of our clients there. And then you have the low class, or the ones that are unable to work, that are facing bankruptcy. So for these people, the only thing is securing the basics. And if you're unfortunate enough to target that audience, it's going to be really tough for you. Okay. Irina, okay,
I'm
you can
moving
go
with
to the
you.
next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we are currently doing, and it's very important for you, is to know that now everything is an assumption. Whatever you knew before that, and in terms of startups, everything is an assumption, but now actually everything in terms of audiences is an assumption. We have a client who is actually selling or leasing well, and they're doing well. So you should be really aware that unless you validate something, it's just an assumption. If you go to the next slide.
Just, George, just a second. There is someone who is having birds singing in the background. I'm going to mute him.
That's me.
I think now it's better. Okay, so.
Okay, so if you go to the next slide, what you'll see is this is a typical example that we're using. So we have a goal, and you can see that there are 3 types of goals. Now I suggest that you have very limited sales goals. So you have goals with direct impact on sales. You have goals with indirect impact on sales, or no impact on sales. And you should be very aware whatever you're doing, what is your goal. And then you have the assumption, you are testing, you are analyzing, and you end the testing period. And what is a big change is that now all of our clients are very open to these insights. They are willing to do more and more tests. They're looking for the data. It has scrutiny from the top management that it allows for very expedient decision making. Okay, you can go for the next one. And what we are suggesting, there's a link to a blog post that I wrote on our website. There are 3 key audiences that you should focus. So first are the self-segmenting ones. This would be people that are self-segmenting, that would be buying a mattress, let's say, at a given time, or would be buying a computer, let's say, so they're self-segmenting themselves. And you could add value to them by providing them some long-form content, because you have more complex means that in other times people lack attention, they consume very short content. But if somebody self-segments and shows interest in your mattresses, your earpods, and so on, it's worth presenting a longer value proposition and journey. And this one requires some investment in the content. Then you have the other audience, which is potential buyers. We suggest you don't push at all. And the final one are the your loyal customers. And the issue is that they will change most of their habits. Everything has changed now in terms of habits. And unless you work with these people, most probably somebody else is targeting these people, and it's going to be a pain in the ass for you. The second reason to target the loyal customers is that actually these people would be more than eager to create some bond with you, to provide you with nice referrals, with nice content, with nice testimonials. And this one will prove actually to many people that you are, even now people are saying that you are a company to value and to cherish. Okay. Then, and I will, you have 4 phases. So the guys from Nike, they have analyzed, they have a lot of markets, and they have mentioned 4 phases they saw. So the first one is containment, and on that phase everything is closed. They have put it was 5, 6, 7 weeks depending before some physical stores open. At that time people are more than willing to engage with content that is relevant to them. For the recovery, they have seen that people are ready to start to go to online shops, to physical shops, but they are still very unsecure, and they will not buy a lot. Nevertheless, people who are in a mood to buy, and you have engaged before that, as you can see, because I have made the quotes for you, start buying and demonstrating relevant experience. Then comes the globalization phase, where actually people pay more. And finally, you have the return to growth. And it's very interesting for you to see. You have the link. It's going to be very easy for you to start thinking about which phase you are on a regional basis. They're mentioning that it's very region specific. If you're operating in Bulgaria, if you're operating in a couple of countries, you most probably have seen how different it is between different countries and regions. And the most important for you as startups or as people with businesses is that you should think about going through these phases and be ready for the next one. Okay, Irina, and if you go to the final part of the presentation, so you skip the 4 phases, you can skip this. Okay, and what works now for sure is something, things that convey security to people. What works now is, just a second, you should go to the previous web slide. Community support, it helps a lot. Most probably you are seeing it in your markets. The idea for community support, it's that it triggers emotions and people remember what they have seen. As Hristo mentioned, people are very stressed now, and unless you make a very strong message, they will not make a mark in their mind. Then a very important thing for you is framing the product, your service within what currently is happening. It's not that hard. Now we are planning for a couple of our clients just some framings in their products. What works amazingly well for our clients and for people I'm speaking with are combos, which means that people who are primarily in the upper class, but in the middle class as well. It goes even for fast food and so on, or for beauty services. People are ready to buy in bulk because of the they want to feel more like indulging themselves, nevertheless making a good bargain, and sometimes minimizing the need to go out. And it's it's amazing as something that works. The other thing we are doing very well with some of our clients is helping two different clients make a partnership, because now marketing budgets are really constrained, and they are really grateful for us making the connection, allowing them to make a co-promotion so that they combine audiences, they provide more value to their audiences, and they restrict their budget. And the final one is it's an amazing advice that I saw in one of these articles. It's think as if every single piece of content you are creating is your single piece of content. It means that now, as Hristo mentioned, nobody would remember just a general piece of content. So on, I guess that Ben referred to that one. That's why he's having a lot of work now. It relates to the fact that whatever content you're having, it should be really as if it was your single piece of content, and people should be the one to remember. Okay, and the final slide is something that you should bear in mind that digital is just a channel, and it's not sure that it will be experienced at all. I have a couple of discussions with companies that are staging events, with some other companies. Definitely there will be a shift to digital, but it will not be like alternating digital to physical. You can see it in the Nike example as well. And what I suggest is that you read a lot about behavioral biases. There are over 100 of these, and most people in e-commerce are very used to use them, but now in the crisis these are exacerbated, and they are very strong. And we have had up to now 2 trainings of my team in terms of behavioral biases and how it affects the behavior both of clients and of end users. Okay. I believe it was very detailed, and I hope that you took at least one thing to act upon.
Well, the great thing is that it's now available for everyone in the chat. Maybe we can provide it also in the follow-up email after the webinar. I'm going to stop presenting, and now probably will appear again. Indeed, that was very useful. One thing that I'm struggling with, because we are, as trending topics, we're creating a lot of pieces of content, and none of them could be like our single piece. What do you mean by that? Is it about the quality? Is it about how effective it should be, impressive it should be? I didn't get it.
It's about all of these. I guess that Ben and Hristo can speak about that one, but now, unless you have a really self-segmented audiences, unless you have very loyal people, people will not remember anything. So now they are staying more and more digital devices. Nevertheless, they are unless that's one of the biases. Unless people are really focused on your topic, which would be how to choose a mattress so that my back doesn't hurt. Unless they are really focused on 5 tricks to manage liquidity and so on, most probably they will not remember anything at all. Now you have so many webinars. I see here Elitsa Stuyulova, a friend of mine. She's constantly on webinars every single day. There's one great platform for webinars and for digital marketing courses, and they said, stop it. We are giving all courses free, but stop bunch watching them. You will not remember anything. You will not get any skill and so on. So that's my suggestion. If you have a good piece of content, make sure that it's a memorable one. Make sure that people give you a signal that it clicked, so that you can emphasize more and more on these audiences. What you mentioned with the email is great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I think I got it now. Yeah, what we see also is that we're all kind of overwhelmed by digital content, so it's a bit difficult to remember all the things and all the impressions that you had in a day. Here, personally, I would recommend mindfulness and meditation and stuff like this, because we really need to switch off and go offline from time to time. In any case, let's go back to our discussion. I have also some other tough questions. They're not really that tough, but I actually would like to go to Bernhard. I hope you closed the window, because we heard some birds singing at some point.
I think I solved all the problems now, or you hear me clear, and yeah.
It's perfect. Thank you for the headphones. So some weeks ago, you told me that for you it's more like a time to step back a bit from communicating, introspect, and maybe work on those content pieces that you've been postponing for the last months, if not years, maybe. How did it change now? Are you really so much going back? You told me that it's the busiest time of the year.
I mean, like it's the busiest time because you have to adjust your communication plan. like a lot of stuff what would have been planned, it's no more useful at the moment. You can postpone it to later on. But to me, it's like in a weird way, it's totally cool, because like you have to be spontaneous, and like as journalists have to be now, like PR has to be as well, and we just have to adapt. And it's somehow like the battle for the best ideas. I think it's even if you're a startup and you want to make communication now, I think like take the whole gang, take a whiteboard, and think about what could be like the somehow connected thing to the Corona stuff and your company. And honestly, I did this already like with 5-6 startups. Like they asked me, and they always find something and they get coverage. It's just like the topic is so crazy big that all the other stuff is just not somehow getting any attention. Like I talked with 4 or 5 journalists this week, and they said, Bernard, if you don't have something attached to Corona, or if you don't have a Corona angle, we don't take it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about talking to journalists? Are they looking for bad news? Or are they looking for good news?
That's the thing I mentioned before with the triple echo.
Yeah.
I say it now like in 2 sentences. Right now, I pitched a story for Klarna how people buy differently in the web now. So they buy a lot of stuff for kids. Funny wise, like the grandparents buy for the kids to somehow like give the parents a little bit of rest. So a lot of older people go to the web and buy now for their grandchildren. They can see at the moment. Then it's a lot of food stuff, erotic products, and like this stuff. So it's this stuff is in the top 5, and it's super interesting. Also, like in a way, how buying habits online change. For example, like now it's during the whole day. Normally it's like in the morning, in the night, or whatever. So there is what I can strongly recommend. If you have any data into any direction, the crisis is changing. That's also working very well. Everything what is somehow solid on data. And a lot of startups somehow have data. So that's working out pretty good. And as I mentioned last week, I had a launch of the fastest growing startup from Germany. They launched in Austria. And like originally we had almost no coverage, and I strongly advised them in advance, please, we should do something with Corona. And then last minute we did something, and it worked like 3 times better, of course.
Okay.
But like as every startup, I mean, I also founded one too, but it's like you always think your idea is the greatest, but that's not, or like your story is the best, but somehow you have to like get the journalists what they want. Yeah.
Okay.
So you should think like a journalist in the end.
So brands are trying to pass by the Corona topic, from what we've heard from Hristo, but somehow journalists are still asking for the same topic.
because you get the most clicks.
Yeah, of course.
And in the end, the clicks are money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a lot of gratification for your work. We see that every day.
Somehow.
Yeah. Hristo, I would like to go back to you now. You're also an investor and a mentor for startups, and you're pretty much involved in the local ecosystem. In your portfolio, we see companies like eBay, which suddenly have found themselves in a market niche maybe way too big for them. We also see a travel startup, 15 to go, who are totally on the other side, and I guess that they're pretty much affected of the crisis. And we spoke with you also some weeks ago, and I remember that you told me that you see so many opportunities that you're a bit sad that you cannot follow on all of them. Yeah. So can you share with us what you can see from the consumer's behavior, from the businesses that you're involved in, especially in the startup ecosystem, in the tech ecosystem, and what would be the potential opportunities for the future?
Thanks for the question. Well, generally what I see is that currently there is a huge boom in basically everything we as people need. So the things that we really need to survive, it is our number one priority. So,
is he on mute?
No. Do you hear me, right?
I hear you well. Yeah. So you're referring to Maslow, I guess.
Exactly. I was. So if we go back to Maslow, right now the sectors which are at the bottom, which is what we need to survive, which is like grocery, basic needs. It's going up, and everything which is the more luxury segment you go, the less demand you see. Also, which is not in Maslow's pyramid, but another segment, and groceries, by the way, we see it worldwide. So worldwide it's doing a spike, and this is one of the retail sectors that we expect to have increase. So another segment that we see a very big increase is entertainment. So obviously, when we're locked down at our houses, we need to be entertained, and we don't have the social, cultural events. We don't have the socializing. We don't have the walking in the parks and visiting to the operas and all the markets and the bars and the clubs and the restaurants. So we turn to entertainment. I have done, like maybe 4 years ago, an investment in an esports company called GameLeap. So right now esports is not the professional side, because there are no physical tournaments, but they're trying to digitize it, and obviously it's easier to digitize esports than physical sports. So gaming, everything related to gaming, is experiencing a very big spike as well. And also communication tools. So basically the things that we need in terms of like food, water, supplies, all of that, together with strong internet access, communication tools like Zoom, Hangouts, whatever, computer devices, so that we can connect to the world, because right now this screen is your only connection to the world. So it comes for you to do your job, for you to have social life, like Bern said, to have dating. So this is everything, and entertainment. So these are the segments that are experiencing a great boom. Another segment which I find super interesting and comes as an opportunity at that moment, and one which I'm considering to make a move into, is is I see you smiling. Is telehealth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think it's a booming sector. I'm only sad that I didn't make the move several months ago, but this segment up until now has been super niche and like super exotic. But now what you see is that physical clinics and physical healthcare sees a revenue drop of around 70-80%. People don't want to go to the hospital because they're afraid of getting sick, so they postpone every regular visit to the doctor they can. And this is where telehealth comes into play.
Okay. But these are sectors. Sorry, Hristo wants to.
Georgi has a question, maybe.
Georgi has a question. Yeah. Sorry.
Because I have a medical friend. She's a well-renowned doctor, and she has tested the two platforms in Bulgaria. And yet people want to have at least the first meeting in person. She mentions that whatever experience she has, some of the things cannot be done via telemedicine and so on. So it's going to be a very interesting segment to me. There's so
Georgi,
much,
do you remember?
There's so much GDPR there.
Do you remember when we were thinking, how is someone going to be selling shoes online regarding the Zappos guys? No, you don't? I remember a lot of people saying that, how are you going to buy shoes online? You have to try them.
Are you ready to send pictures with your name, Hristo Hristov, on a app that is funded by Ben of your butt? So you make a picture of your butt, you have some issues there, and then you know that Ben is the one accessing all data. And we are joking, but actually these are real problems that my medical friend is facing. And my point in my presentation was that part of the things could be done in digital, but some things could not be digitalized that much. So it was a joke, but nevertheless, it's still not easy at all.
Yeah, and the things that cannot be digitized right now are the ones that are in the needs segment. So, and the ones that are in the needs segment are mainly the grocery segment. So you need to eat food, you need to drink water, you need to do your physical routine, and this cannot be digitized, obviously. Yeah.
Well, telemedicine is definitely a topic. Another topic that maybe I see now is e-government, especially in Bulgaria, but let's see how this develops. But I actually have another question because, okay, these are the sectors that are offering huge opportunity right now during the lockdown. But what could we expect from consumers once the lockdown is over? And I don't know if I should say, let's hope it's soon. Maybe it's not that wise to be soon. I'm not going to make any statement on that. But how about the times when we're going to go back or, I don't know, go out of home, at least? We're not going back, definitely, for sure.
Well, first of all, it's not going to be over in an instant. It's going to be a process. So opening up the economy, reopening the economy is going to be a process, and it's going to be vertical by vertical with specific measures for every vertical. Mm-hmm. So there is no like magic pill for reopening the economy. The economy is going to be pretty closed over the next several months worldwide, which is unprecedented. So during the 2008 financial crisis, we had financial sector in terrible gloom. In 2001, there was the dot-com bubble, so it was the digital sector. In 87, it was related to oil. So, but so far, there has been nothing like that. So the entire economy to be suspended, and so it's not going to be overnight. It's going to come back easily. So in that terms, I don't expect a radical consumer change in behavior. So I expect the consumers and the people to be cautious when the economy is being reopened, and to be a little bit scared again from social gatherings, from the fear factor is not going to go away so easily. So it's going to be much more a gradual reopening, and much more a gradual turning back to normal of the behavior.
Okay.
And it is also related to media and governments, because we as people need to start seeing less and less scary briefings and news on the media. So when I have 4 times in my day, like live briefings, live sessions, death tolls, new cases, recessions, it gets into my mind, and I become super afraid to spend, to do business, to work, especially if I'm at the front line. So if I'm working at a grocery chain, if I'm working in healthcare, I'm super stressed to be contacting a lot of individuals.
Okay. Thank you for this aspect, because actually it leads me straight to my next question, and this one goes to actually to all of you. As communicators or communication professionals, I believe that we are pretty much also called upon our social responsibility and emotional intelligence of what is going around. Many, as you said, are worried about their health, and also about the health of their families, colleagues, friends. As the economic impact of the crisis starts to unfold, we're going to be also very stressed about our jobs, the existence of our businesses. So as everyone is online now, I believe that this fear factor for some might be also a growth hacking opportunity to sell, to make profit from that. Misinformation is spreading a bit even faster than the virus, I would say. So how to respond in the ethical way? How to respond in the responsible way? Isn't it wise if we're going to build our brands on the long run? Yeah, if we're going to boost our brands in the long run, because I believe that there is also some risk for brands if they somehow make a benefit from the situation to sell more. That at a certain point, they would suffer from a negative image. You're all muted. The one who would like to start, quickly. Yeah, okay, Georgi, your turn.
Okay, so I refer back to what I presented to you about the 3 classes, tribes. So for sure, now there are people that are more than willing to buy some things. And if you're doing it in an ethical way, you can do it for sure. I'm pretty sure that both you, so all of you, something even this week, whatever type of digital good or physical good. And this is because you are currently normalizing your behavior and so on, and most probably you are in the upper class. What we are facing, and we are seeing with some of our clients, that if you simplify the value proposition so that you can frame it within the needs of people now, they are more than willing to act and to interact. So it relates to how you present the value proposition to these people, and they see that it helps to them. A couple of our clients, we advise them not to do hard sales, and even for the ones that are not doing hard sales but just are selling a product, there have been people that have been commenting very actively on their on the Facebook posts, and nevertheless it didn't say buy and so on. There were people that were very outspoken about a specific topic, and you should be aware. There's a great book, Marketing for All, by Philip Kotler, and it says that whatever you are doing, actually you activate both your promoters and demoters, and I believe that this will happen. So I suggest that as you saw it, you don't sell aggressively, but if somebody shows you interest, you can do two things. It's the way I showed you for Nike, or even present something to be sold. We are having really nice e-sales or assisted sales for a lot of clients. None of these are aggressive for the way you mentioned, not socially responsible. I believe that we still lack a lot of brands that are doing CSR activities. I see in a number of other countries what you mentioned, the larger I mean, a lot of companies are making a huge statement and are helping more and more their communities and their clients, and obviously they're for the long run. I still don't see it, let's say, in Bulgaria, be it because nobody has experienced such a huge crisis like 10, 20, 50 years ago, or because they don't have that access to funding. I don't know, but still there's a lot to be done in terms of CSR.
Okay, so you would say that CSR is a relevant communication topic right now?
For sure, it should be framed within your core value proposition. We have at least 4 or 5 clients who have framed it so well that it actively impacts. I have seen in the last 2-3 days at least 4 or 5 more companies offering services and so on who have used these biases that I mentioned to you. So if you buy that service, then 50% of that service would go to Help Karma, which is a renowned platform and so on. So you don't need to think, okay, who are they going to help and so on and so on. So there are many things actually to simplify the value proposition and to reframe it within that one. There's another company saying, okay, you can test the product and then you can decide what to pay. Whatever you pay, it will go to that foundation. So there are many ways to actually to frame your your value proposition within that one.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Bernhard, how is it for the startups? Are they concerned with CSR? Do they have time apart from growth hacking?
I know one because I saw it yesterday on Facebook, for example. They normally do gloves. It's from the Buchreiter guys from Austria, and they make masks now, and they give I think half the money to the Red Cross.
Okay.
So that's one thing, but they are somehow in the business now to make masks. Everyone is crazy on masks, so it's somehow like that's one thing. But honestly, I think if it's not easy, I wouldn't care too much about, because there are so many topics now for startups somehow to survive or to adapt, that I think like smaller startups, they don't have the capacity to do CSR.
Okay.
Yes. It's just like, I mean, if you're probably between, I don't know, like 5 to 8 people or whatever, or if you're like probably under 15 people, you have so much stuff to do that by the next 3 months, everyone has, or most people still have their jobs. So I think like every company or each person should like lead an ethical, okay life. So regarding that, it shouldn't be like a topic only for crisis.
Okay.
In general, yeah.
Okay, we're not a startup, we're more like a media platform, but the way that we responded is that we decided we're going to offer cheaper services for startups at this point who decided to market themselves, to work on new, I don't know, approach new customers. And
one question to this, because like I'm wondering, like almost everyone now, that's just like my personal opinion, like almost everyone now is offering some free or reduced services for like, I don't know, like till the end of the year. And for me, that somehow the topic in general somehow switched into this, it's also some kind of like making business in a good way, of course, but still it's a revenue chain. So I think it's a good idea because people get the chance, but yeah, it's also a business opportunity. So you can see it from both sides. It's a nice move from each and everyone, but there is also an idea behind, I think at least. What is okay? What is okay? Fair enough.
I guess that the freemium models that we're saying are hoping also that they're going to retain some of the customers also for at a later point, which totally makes sense, especially if I have experienced them and I have a good experience with them. I see also misinformation as a huge topic, maybe because we're more like involved in the news making, in spreading of information. Hristo is away now. They're also involved in general news making at Dnews, but we lost the opportunity to ask him. Maybe he will join us later. And I'm going to my last question. I would, let's keep it short because I guess that maybe some of the people on the audience, they would also have questions. I urge them to start thinking about them now. My last question is, because I've checked the polls, and from the results, I see that in our audience, we have mostly marketing professionals from small and medium-sized businesses, not necessarily startups. And most of them have been affected in a way that they need to diversify their marketing spendings. But a great portion of them are dealing with they need to cut marketing costs to work with even tighter budgets than ever. And so my last question seems a bit relevant at this point. I believe that cutting budgets is not necessarily the silver bullet solution, and not always the smartest reaction to the crisis. It is also vital to focus on retaining customers and also maybe even gaining new others, because you still need to sustain a certain cash flow. And I think that we as marketing professionals, we need to do some really hard stakeholder management, because when it comes to crisis situation, the first thing that you probably cut are marketing, freelancers, and so on and so forth. So we are pretty much affected in the way that we work. How do we do this stakeholder management at this point? And another aspect of our work would probably include also engaging other departments and our colleagues, aligning with them to what should be communicated. How do we manage this alignment, and how do we manage the stakeholder management within our organizations? Do you have some tips for them?
With me, it's a little bit hard because I'm a one-person company. So I cannot cut my left hand or whatever. So I'm somehow in a lucky situation that I have enough customers. But I mean, like I talked with, I don't know, like 20 startups in the last 2 weeks. What was the strongest advice, or like the conclusion of many of them was, like, even before you cut too much marketing, they cut people, or they put people on half work or whatever, or like short work, or however is it in English, because if you cut the marketing, you somehow cut your future customers. So it's like, from my point of view, it's not smart to totally cut marketing expenses, because somehow you cut the future of your company. And sometimes it's easier to lose people for 2-3 months, even if it's hard, because then they have a future because the company is still existing. And in the end, you have to have like a chart, and you should keep the staff what most likely keeps your company alive. And I think marketing is crucial from my point of view. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned also that you advised them to bring the team together and maybe brainstorm together on ideas that can be used in communications, in marketing, something that you can do. Yeah, that was also a great tip.
Yeah, always with team. Yeah.
Georgi, you wanted to share an idea or two as well? For some reason, we're not hearing you.
Yeah. I follow the advice to mute myself once, not when speaking. Okay, so in terms of team, we have not fired or dismissed or whatever anybody from our team. We are still 36 people. We have just reduced the working time to 6 hours per day. It works. We did pay cuts, primarily me and my 2 partners, and then we, because of the reduced work time, all other people a little bit cut, but we preserve the entire team, and it keeps amazing the morale, and we are constantly discussing what is happening. Both in terms of marketing environment, how we can add value to the clients, why they are reacting or would be reacting in a specific way, and then we are providing them insight what is happening within the company. We are planning within. We are communicating bi-weekly. It means that we are not changing anything within 2 specific weeks, and which gives them security enough, and then allows us to plan and to replan if needed, but we are not constantly adjusting, which I believe makes the team less stressed and more dedicated to the work and to what they are doing. Then there's a question from Alexandra. My point is that what you can do in terms of community activation is for sure you have some kind of loyal clients, and these people would be more than willing to remember the great times, the good times, the moment that you make them feel special, the moment you made something great together. And this is a great way actually to activate these people. You will be giving them emotional value, social currency, and so on, something that they need now, and it should cost you almost no money, just some effort. It will be amazing for these people, and actually you'll be able to reach their communities and their audiences, hopefully with something that is relevant for them now. And the final one regarding community activation is actually that now things are even more regional, even more specific. So whatever activation you are doing, you should be thinking about small regional aspects, not countrywide or even citywide.
Hristo has a great example to share also on the topic of community activation. They're dealing with a hungry for sports community who is in the unfortunate situation that there is no sports happening anywhere. So how did you do that? You're also muted for some reason. We don't hear you. I haven't muted you. This must be you. Oh no.
Yeah, that's smart.
No, we somehow lost you.
I think it's easiest to go outside again and go inside again. I had this before, yeah.
Well, I actually have just came up with that with another question to Georgi while Hristo is struggling with his mic. With all that noise, what is happening actually with ads? What is happening with the?
Do you hear me now?
We hear you well. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna ask the question afterwards, and then we can round it up. But Hristo, yeah, maybe you can share your example of community activation.
So what we did is with all sports events being cancelled, we basically did a simulation over PlayStation for the Bulgarian league. So we decided to play all of the remaining matches in football on a PlayStation environment, inviting the same sports commentaries, the coaches, some of the A players in the teams, and it actually it was done. It is done because it's being broadcasted these days. It is following the same event regime. So if there is a game on Saturday, there is the game on Saturday. It's exactly between the teams that were supposed to play. And we did it in partnership with Ozon, which is an e-commerce player that is still able to get through the corona, noise and sell like still growing. And we found this partnership to be super useful for both sides. We do average around 70,000 people. We reach around 70,000 people with each episode. It's something like that. With a very high engagement because it's a very long broadcast.
Okay. You mentioned all the noise, and actually I came up with a question to Georgi regarding performance marketing. With all that noise around Corona, what is happening actually with the price per click cost at this point? Does it make sense to run ad campaigns? Is it more expensive, or is it maybe cheaper? Again, we don't hear you.
Actually, it depends. As I told you. From the crystal ball. So going back to that one, of course, there are less advertisers now. There was a survey among media planners in the US, and they thought, okay, we will cut 50% as per planned budget, different type of advertising. So we will cut less social media and search, like 30%, 33%. So what we are doing with our clients, we are not cutting search. Even some of our clients cut search. So now you can definitely pay less, and for most of the businesses. And yet, as I told you, there are people that self-segment themselves, or people who actually are willing to buy. And if you are not in search, which is high intent, then I don't know where you are. You cannot even know what is happening with the clients and whether you're losing some kind of interest and so on. Going back to that one, actually, because of course we have replanned the content that is being shown. I told you about the best piece of content.
Do I see them dropped, or is it only me? Did we lose the connection to Georgi?
No, I hear him.
I actually see him.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I don't hear him.
I will mute you. Hristo, I will mute you. Okay, so what happened is that we saw increased CTRs, click-through rates, because people started seeing relevant content, which means that they're interested in that type of content, because that platform, be it Google, be it Facebook, sees that these people are interested enough. It lowers additionally the cost per click. And what we saw is that people are staying longer on the respective digital asset, which is great once again. So if you go to the webinar, I showed you, I put a link there. In the presentation, you will see actually how we saw the CTR going up and the link clicks being kept, though we have reduced the number of ad sets and so on. So my suggestion to you is don't cut on search advertising, and the second one is don't cut on social media. Why? Because actually now it's about the engagement part, so it's very hard to sell, but actually people are on social media and you can engage these communities, these audiences, and you can make a journey for these people with much less cost. And especially if you want to make a statement with your brand, or if you want to introduce a new value proposition, actually social media will allow you to get the feeling of people, so you can both interact with them, or you can test them, you can see how they behave. So these are the two areas where digital marketing planners have cut costs less than all others.
Okay. One last question from the audience. It's actually coming from Alex again. She is asking for tips and tricks on keeping the creativity in times of crisis. What do you do personally? Yeah, okay. George says, Hristo, that's a question for you. I guess Bernhard would have some insightful answer as well. Okay. No one wants to answer, or okay.
For me, it's fine. Like keeping creativity. It's somehow, I don't know how ethical it is, but or like how allowed it is somehow. But for me, it's still when I keep the distance, I meet some people to exchange in real, because you go crazy. That's the thing. I don't know how it is in Bulgaria. In Austria, it's somehow allowed, not allowed. And I cannot have any more like Zoom calls, Skype calls, whatever calls, because like somehow it makes you crazy. It's just too much. And you cannot be on the phone all the time. So like what I can really recommend, not very often, but before going crazy, like meet the person in real, keep 2 meters distance, keep even a mask, whatever. But I think like real contact is like somehow pushing creativity. And the second thing is, for me, it's sports. Right now, when we finish, I go for a run, because it's, yeah, it's the only thing we can do right now.
I can confirm about running. I actually, I am not a runner, but it really helps. Yeah. In terms of creativity, you can see my list. Actually, I stopped using lists, and then I restarted using lists, and so I know when is the moment to be creative and when it's to be productive. And my trick is actually to be very productive, and then to allow myself to be creative in the moment when I need to be creative. But being very focused, it gives me a boost, and then I allow myself to be creative enough. I have been going to improv classes, improvisational theater, for 7-8 years now, and now they are amazing improv classes or performances, and it helps a lot with the creativity. This is something as well that I'm doing.
Well, for me personally, I'm doing once a day a review of the memes and the jokes.
Yes, that's the best about the crisis.
It really helped me, like, to desensibilize, or I don't know, to be less sensitive to what is happening around. Otherwise, I'm a bit susceptible to bad moods. Running, yoga, a bit of meditation, and actually try to keep in touch with people all around the globe and call them and, I don't know, having a chat. That's it. So I think with that, I would say that let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been really insightful. We're gonna have a recording of the webinar, and we're gonna do a summary of what's been discussed. We're gonna put the key findings or the highlights of the conversation. We're gonna put them in a short article, which you can read then in the follow-up communication from all the who managed to participate today, but also for those who didn't. It will be probably also published on trending topics. So stay in touch with us. We're planning also some other exciting digital events during the time of the lockdown. That's all, I think, from me. Maybe from one word from you guys. If not, yeah.
Yeah, my word is like, go outside a bit every day to keep your brain free. That's the key to happiness these days.
I think in Bulgaria, this is something which is being frowned upon, but yeah, I actually do that sometimes as well. So with that, I'm going to open up the option to create sessions or roundtables. If you have some topics that you would like to discuss with others, if you would like to share your experience, know-how of what you've done, what worked, or maybe you're looking for a tip of in a situation that you're right now facing. The speakers, I don't know if they're going to join you. It's free time for them, so I'm not going to keep them. And thank you. I hope you managed to find something useful in our conversation, and see you soon.
Be safe.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.